somebody asked me, where does the quadratic formula come from and who invented it? And I think a lot of people wonder that question, so I thought I'd answer it in today's video. The quadratic formula is made by just completing the square, but instead of having numbers for the coefficients in your quadratic equation, you just use the letters A, B, and C. Now, completing the square dates all the way back to the days of the Babylonians. So let's go ahead and look at how we can complete the square on this quadratic equation here. The first thing we want to do is, since we do have a coefficient in front of x squared, we want to divide everything by that coefficient. So this would give us x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. Then we can start with the actual completing the square process. The first thing that you do when you're completing the square is you take the c term and you move it to the other side of the equal sign. And since we're going to move that over, we're going to have to subtract it to move it. So now this gives us x squared plus b over a x, we're going to leave a blank here, equals negative c over a, and then we'll leave another blank there. The second step is to take the b term, divide it in half, and when you're dividing a fraction in half, you're just multiplying that denominator by 2, and then square it. So this would give us b squared over 4a squared, and we would add that to both sides of the equation. Starting to look a little familiar, huh? Do we notice? Yes, we've seen that before. All right. The third step, well, let me come back in a minute after I have my board all cleaned off. Anyway, the next step would be to rewrite this side as a perfect square trinomial and combine these two over here. So if I was going to write this as the perfect square trinomial, the factors would be x plus b over 2a times another x plus b over 2a. And how do I know? So squared, because there's two of those factors. How do I know it's b over 2a? Because it's just the middle term divided in half. Equals, and then we need to combine these two terms and get a common denominator. So your common denominator would be 4a squared. This needs to be multiplied by 4a to get that common denominator. So you'd have negative 4ac plus b squared all over 4a squared. The next step is to take the square root of both of these sides. And so that would give you x plus b over 2a equals plus and minus, because whenever you take a square root, you get plus and minus. Plus and minus the square root of negative 4ac plus b squared over 2a, because the square root of 4a squared would be 2a. Finally, we just need to move this over here. We would just subtract it to get it over to the other side. And since it's a common denominator, everything will be combined over that common denominator. And you can see now that we have all the elements that we need for a quadratic formula. There's your negative b, there's your plus and minus, there's your square root, there's your b squared, there's your minus 4ac. And that, my friends, is how you get the quadratic formula. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my website at oliviashirleytutoring.weebly.com, where you can schedule one-on-one tutoring and contact me.